Hello, listeners. Welcome to this captivating summary of Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance by Angela Duckworth. Imagine if success wasn't just about being born with talent, but about cultivating a fire within, a blend of unyielding passion and dogged perseverance. That's the revolutionary idea at the heart of this book. Angela Duckworth, a renowned psychologist and MacArthur Genius Grant winner, draws from her groundbreaking research, inspiring stories from athletes, CEOs, and everyday heroes, and her own journey to show us that grit is the true predictor of achievement. In this summary, we'll embark on a chapter-by-chapter adventure through the book. I'll keep it simple, engaging, and packed with the key insights straight from Angela's words. No fluff, just the transformative wisdom that can change how you approach your goals. Whether you're chasing a dream career, raising resilient kids, or just wanting to stick with that new habit, this summary will guide you step by step. Think of it as your personal coach, blending science, stories, and practical tips to fuel your inner grit. We'll start with the preface, then dive into the three parts, understanding what grit is, growing it from within, and nurturing it from the outside. Let's ignite that passion and perseverance. Your journey to greater achievement begins now. Kicking things off with the preface, Angela Duckworth pulls back the curtain on her personal story and the origins of her grit research. Growing up, Angela often heard from her father that she was no genius. This stuck with her, sparking a lifelong curiosity about what separates high achievers from the rest. She left a high-paying consulting job to teach math to 7th graders in public schools, where she noticed that talent alone didn't predict success. Some bright kids struggled, while others with less apparent ability excelled through sheer effort. This observation led her to graduate school in psychology at the University of Pennsylvania, where she studied under pioneers like Martin Seligman. Angela began researching self-control and perseverance, eventually coining the term grit to describe the combination of passion and perseverance for long-term goals. She shares how her studies at West Point, with salespeople, and in schools revealed that grit predicts success better than IQ or talent. Angela emphasizes that grit isn't just about working hard. It's about direction, stamina, and sticking with your future day in and day out. The preface sets a motivational tone, inviting readers to question the talent myth and explore how we can all become grittier. It's a heartfelt introduction that blends autobiography with science, promising practical tools ahead. Now, let's move into part 1, what grit is and why it matters. This section lays the foundation, debunking myths and defining grit through real-world examples and research. Chapter 1, Showing Up. Chapter 1 plunges us into the grueling world of West Point's Beast Barracks, a 7-week boot camp where cadets face relentless physical and mental challenges. Angela explains that of the 14,000 applicants each year, only about 1,200 are admitted, but even then, 1 in 5 drops out before graduation. What predicts who makes it? Not SAT scores, high school rank, or athletic ability, but grit. Angela introduces her grit scale, a simple questionnaire she developed to measure this trait. Through studies, she found that grittier cadets were 20% more likely to survive Beast. She shares stories like that of a cadet who pushed through exhaustion, illustrating that showing up consistently is the essence of grit. The chapter highlights research from other fields. Grittier salespeople stay longer and sell more. Grittier students graduate at higher rates. Angela argues that in a world of instant gratification, the ability to endure discomfort for a greater goal is rare and powerful. It's not about intensity but consistency, showing up every day, even when it's tough. This chapter hooks you with vivid anecdotes and data, making a compelling case for why grit matters more than we think. Chapter 2, Distracted by Talent. In Chapter 2, Angela explores our cultural obsession with natural talent and how it blinds us to the role of effort. She recounts her teaching days, where she initially assumed smarter kids would do better, but found that effort was the real differentiator. Drawing on history, she quotes Nietzsche, "Our vanity, our self-love, promotes the cult of the genius," suggesting we idolize talent because it excuses our own lack of effort. Angela shares experiments showing how we praise talented individuals more, even when effort leads to equal results. She discusses the naturalness bias, where we value things that seem effortless over those earned through hard work. Examples include Olympic athletes and musicians who downplay their practice to appear gifted. The chapter warns that this distraction harms society. Schools focus on identifying talent rather than developing it, leading to untapped potential. Angela urges a shift, celebrate effort as much as ability. It's an eye-opening critique, balanced with humor and research, guiding us to reframe how we view success in ourselves and others. Chapter 3, Effort Counts Twice. Chapter 3 presents Angela's core equation: talent times effort equals skill, and skill times effort equals achievement. Effort, she says, counts twice, first in building skills, then in applying them. She illustrates this with stories like Will Smith's rise in acting, where he attributes success to outworking everyone, and Warren Buffett's disciplined investment approach. Angela dives into sociology with Dan Chambliss's study of swimmers, showing excellence comes from mundane, repeated efforts, not magic. She contrasts this with the talent myth, using examples like Darwin, who wasn't the brightest but persisted. The chapter includes graphs and data from her research, proving that grit amplifies talent. It's informative yet inspiring, educating on how small, consistent efforts compound over time. Angela guides readers to focus on process over innate gifts, making this a pivotal chapter for rethinking personal development. Chapter 4, How Gritty Are You? Chapter 4 invites self-assessment with the grit scale, a 10-question survey scoring passion and perseverance on a 5-point scale. Angela explains how to calculate your score and interpret it. Scores around 4 indicate high grit, but it's relative to your peers. She shares data from thousands. Ivy League students average 3.5, West Point cadets 4.0, National Spelling Bee finalists higher still. Stories include gritty icons like novelist John Irving, who rewrote endlessly despite dyslexia. Angela notes grit varies by domain. You might be gritty at work but not hobbies, and evolves with age. The chapter is engaging, with the scale as a tool for reflection. It's balanced, warning against overvaluing grit without ethics, and educates on using the scale for growth, guiding listeners to honestly evaluate their own perseverance. Chapter 5, Grit Grows. Wrapping Part 1, Chapter 5 reassures that grit isn't fixed. It can increase with age and experience. Angela's data shows adults get grittier over decades, peaking in their 60s. She links this to maturity, clearer interests, better practice habits, deeper purpose, and resilient hope. Influences include culture, for example Finn's value sisu, a grit-like trait, and mindset. Carol Dweck's growth mindset, believing abilities develop through effort boosts grit. Experiments show teaching growth mindset raises perseverance. The chapter is hopeful and educational, with stories of late bloomers like Julia Child. Angela guides us to see grit as malleable, setting the stage for Part 2. It's a balance close to Part 1, emphasizing that no matter your starting point, you can grow grittier. Transitioning to Part 2, Growing Grit from the Inside Out. Here, Angela provides internal strategies to build grit through interest, practice, purpose, and hope. Chapter 6, Interest. Chapter 6 debunks the follow your passion myth. Passion often develops over time, not instantly. Angela shares stories like astronomer Vera Rubin's gradual love for stars and coder Mark Vetri's winding path to chef. Research shows experts nurture fledgling interests through play, triggers, and encouragement. Practical tips: experiment with new activities, dedicate time daily, and be patient. Interests deepen with exposure. The chapter is engaging with interviews of gritty paragons who admit early confusion. It's informative on the science of curiosity and balanced, noting not all interests become lifelong passions. Angela guides listeners to foster interests actively, turning fleeting curiosities into sustained drive. Chapter 7, Practice. In Chapter 7, Angela distinguishes deliberate practice from mere repetition. Drawing on Anders Ericsson's work, it's focused, goal-oriented, with feedback and discomfort, stretching beyond comfort zones. Stories include swimmers logging thousands of hours and spellers drilling weaknesses. Angela contrasts this with flow, which is enjoyable but not growth-focused. Tips: set stretch goals, practice fully engaged, seek expert feedback, make it ritual. The chapter educates on habit formation, like using cues for consistency. It's interesting with athlete anecdotes and balanced, acknowledging practice's tedium but rewards. Angela guides us to reframe practice as investment, building grit one session at a time. Chapter 8, Purpose. Chapter 8 explores connecting work to benefiting others. Angela differentiates pleasure, self-focused, from purpose, other-focused. Stories include zookeepers who see animal care as calling and a mason viewing bricklaying as cathedral building. Research shows grittier people view jobs as meaningful. Practical advice: jobcraft by tweaking tasks for impact, reflect on contributions, find role models. The chapter is inspiring with examples like Alex Scott's lemonade stand for cancer. It's informative on purpose's evolution and balanced, noting it grows with experience. Angela educates on cultivating purpose, guiding listeners to infuse meaning into daily pursuits for sustained grit. Chapter 9, Hope. Chapter 9 defines it as persevering because you believe tomorrow can be better. Angela introduces optimistic explanatory style, viewing setbacks as temporary, specific, and changeable. It's teachable through cognitive therapy. Stories include swimmer Rowdy Gaines rebounding from losses. Tips: update beliefs with evidence, practice problem solving, seek help. The chapter is engaging with resilience tales and educational on learned helplessness versus optimism. Balanced, it warns against blind positivity. Angela guides us to build hope, completing the internal toolkit for grit. Now, Part 3, Growing Grit from the Outside In. This section examines external influences like parenting, activities, and culture. Chapter 10, Parenting for Grit. Chapter 10 advocates wise parenting, supportive and demanding. Angela categorizes styles. Authoritative, like high support, high expectations, fosters grit, unlike permissive or authoritarian. Stories include her daughters and Francesca Martinez's comedian dad encouraging perseverance. Tips: model grit, provide autonomy, emphasize process. Research shows wise parents raise grittier kids. The chapter is guiding for parents, informative on attachment theory, and balanced, noting no perfect formula. Angela educates on nurturing independence while supporting, building gritty families. Chapter 11, The Playing Fields of Grit. In Chapter 11, Angela stresses extracurriculars for grit development. Her hard thing rule: everyone picks a challenging activity, practices daily, no quitting mid-season. Studies show 2 years of activities predict career success better than grades. Examples: sports, music teach resilience. Balanced, it notes quality over quantity. Deep engagement matters. Engaging with teen stories, it's educational on benefits like belonging. Angela guides families to implement structured challenges, fostering grit through play. Chapter 12, A Culture of Grit. Chapter 12 shows how groups amplify individual grit. Examples: Seattle Seahawks always compete mantra, JP Morgan's leadership training. Angela explains norms, identity, and language shape culture. Tips: lead by example, craft shared stories, use genius for groups not individuals. The chapter is interesting with team anecdotes and informative on organizational psychology. Balanced, it acknowledges culture's power for good or ill. Angela guides leaders to build gritty environments, scaling personal growth. Chapter 13, Conclusion. In Chapter 13, Angela recaps: grit trumps talent, grows internally via interest, practice, purpose, hope, and externally through support. She invites readers to her website for grit scale and research participation. Stories reinforce anyone can get grittier. As a call to action, apply one idea today. Balanced with humility, admitting grit isn't everything, but crucial. Angela ends empowering, guiding us to live with passion and perseverance. We've reached the summit of grit, the power of passion and perseverance. From West Point's beasts to everyday triumphs, Angela Duckworth has shown us that success is about stamina, not just starting strong. Key takeaways: effort counts twice, grit grows, and you can cultivate it inside and out. If this sparks something in you, dive into the full book for more tools and stories. Remember, as Angela says, with effort, talent becomes skill, and at the very same time, effort makes skill productive. Thank you for joining this empowering journey. Keep persevering. Your grittier future awaits. Until next time, stay passionate and persistent. Goodbye.